This is Mac OS Ken.
Notes ahead of today's earnings call, a Cryptic Tease from Product Red, and pay less for MLS. It is Thursday, the 2nd of May, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by ExpressVPN. Use the internet the way you want to. Subscribe and get an extra 3 months free at expressvpn.com/macosken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macosken. Earlier this week, we heard about improved sentiment around Apple shares from JP Morgan analyst Samik Chatterjee. Now, Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani is pointing out negative sentiment around the Cupertino company, but don't worry, it ends up being a positive. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote. According to that, Daryanani and friends think Apple is going to deliver a modest miss for March quarter revenue and offer mildly disappointing June quarter guidance. Working against the company are macro headwinds in China. Working for the company are gross margin upside, OPEX controls, and buybacks. Also playing a strong role, services. Those should remain an upside driver, according to the note. The analyst says the relative outperformance of services could push Apple margins over 47% in the quarter. Oh, and returning money to shareholders. Capital allocation could also be an upside driver, according to the note. Bottom line, Daryanani says he and his remain bullish on the name and think a slight miss on the top line with strong margins and a robust capital return update should help the stock work higher, given current low sentiment in the name will set a low bar. And that is how a negative turns into a positive. It's actually been a busier week for Mr. Daryanani than I had realized. In addition to Wednesday's note on Thursday's earnings, the analyst wrote a note Tuesday on Apple and AI, excerpted by Apple 3.0. The way he sees it, AI is not a potential existential threat to Apple's business, as it may be for others. AI for Apple is a complementary offering that makes their ecosystem stickier for the 2 billion plus iOS install base. The note continues, we think Apple has a solid AI strategy that centers around deploying AI on the edge. The goal of this for Apple is to make the user experience better and the ecosystem stickier, while triggering an iPhone supercycle down the road. According to the note, he and his continue to think Apple's more measured approach to AI will reap rewards. They're looking forward to AI news around WWDC, as well as a likely upside catalyst for Apple shares. Daryanani has an outperform rating on those. Evercore's price target on the shares is $220. Now, there's likely to be something of a freak-out number from Apple on today's call, though the world has been warned about it. 9 to 5 Mac's Ben Lovejoy reminds readers about Apple's missing $5 billion. As a reminder, said Apple CFO Luca Maestri on the Q1 earnings call back in February, in the December quarter of 2022, we face significant supply constraints on the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max due to COVID factory shutdowns. And in the March quarter of 2023, we were able to replenish channel inventory and fulfill significant pent-up demand from the constraints. We estimate that this impact added close to $5 billion to the March quarter's total revenue last year. When we remove this impact from last year's revenue, we expect both our March quarter total company revenue and iPhone revenue to be similar to a year ago. So iPhone sales will be roughly the same, minus $5 billion worth. Of course, that will affect Apple's total revenue as well. Based on that, analysts are looking for revenue in the neighborhood of $90 billion for the March quarter versus $94.8 billion for the same quarter a year earlier. There will be lots to digest later today when Apple reports its second quarter fiscal year 2024 earnings. Numbers will hit after the close of trading. Look for that press release around 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. Then at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern, financial folk and Apple execs will hop on the horn to talk over what happened last quarter and tease what is to come. You can hear the call as it happens on Apple's investor site. It'll be made available as a podcast soon after. And we will hit the big bits right here on Friday. A sort of surprising possibility for Apple's Let Loose product event next week. While new iPads are practically a given and accessories are practically a given, the spring events often include a new color for the iPhone line. Well, a new old color, there are only so many. I feel like I heard a rumor about a yellow iPhone 15 being added in the spring, though that talk died fairly quickly if memory serves. I am relying on memory for that. I don't think I covered it here, and a cursory DuckDuckGoing just shows me stories from last summer about rumored colors for the iPhone 15 line, which was then due in the fall. But there is a hint of another new old color. A piece from Apple Insider says a photo from Product Red on social media is teasing us all about a vibrant red iPhone 15, but there's no detail beyond a cryptic reference to donuts. Donuts? The Product Red posting on Twitter, says Apple Insider, shows the red iPhone being held over a selection of donuts. Definitely not an iPhone 15 Plus, Pro, nor Pro Max, according to the report. It could be the Product Red iPhone 14, but Apple Insider points out that would be mean. According to the report, the only text in the post says, "Have an apple before your donut." Is the donut the Apple Park HQ? Maybe we'll find out during next Tuesday's Let Loose event. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. If you build your tech life around having fun, have a look at ExpressVPN. Let's say you live in one country, I suspect you do, and you want to watch something on a service in another country. Say a drama on Netflix in South Korea or some show in the UK. Like the old days of DVDs, you're kind of region locked, but not with ExpressVPN. Just activate ExpressVPN, change your location to whatever country has the content you want, refresh the service you're using, and watch like somebody who lives where you're not. You can choose from over 100 different countries, meaning tons of streams in which to wade. Personally, I dig ExpressVPN for the privacy, security, and speed. With a VPN, your internet traffic goes through a secure tunnel, which keeps your online activity private. ExpressVPN shields all of your internet traffic with strong encryption, and it does it all with impressive speeds. Like watch video from halfway around the world speeds. All of that is why ExpressVPN has been my VPN for years, and it can be yours with this sweet deal. Whether you want to access a literal world of content or just keep the world out of your business, use my link expressvpn.com/macOSKen, and you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. That's expressvpn.com/macOSKen to learn more. expressvpn.com/macOSKen. Well, this is crazy. 9to5Mac says Pennsylvania is about to make secretly tracking someone with something like an AirTag illegal. To be clear, it is not crazy that they're doing that. It is crazy that they are just now doing that. I mean, AirTag has been out there for 3 years, and it joined a field in 2021 that was far from full, but certainly wasn't empty. The piece quotes an AP News story saying the State House of Representatives voted 199 to 1 to approve legislation that would make using a tracking device to secretly track another person part of Pennsylvania's laws against stalking. The crime would be punishable as a third-degree misdemeanor or up to 90 days in jail. I'm curious about that one vote against. Mildly curious. If you've got an LG TV from 2020 or later, there's a decent chance you've got a decent machine for Apple Music. Mac Rumors cites a Flat Panels HD report saying LG has updated its Apple Music app to support Dolby Atmos, making it the first smart TV manufacturer to do so. Quoting Mac Rumors, the change allows users to experience immersive audio that enhances the spatial perception of sound previously achievable only with external hardware. Sounds like it sounds great, though the report says LG does still recommend a compatible surround sound system. The update is known to be working on the LG GX OLED TV from 2020. Expectations are that it will work on all LG TVs that are compatible with Dolby Atmos from 2020 onwards, according to the piece. And finally today, with roughly 1/3 of the 2024 Major League Soccer season gone, so is roughly 1/3 of a season pass price. 9to5Mac says, as it did last year, the price for MLS season pass on Apple TV has dropped partway through the season. The drop comes a bit earlier this year. The cost was lowered twice in 2023, first time in June, second time in September. It'll be interesting to see whether they cut 3 this year. This week's drop, one near the halfway point, and one headed toward season end. Whatever the case, prices are lower right now. They've dropped from $99 to $69, according to the report. That is for non-Apple TV Plus subscribers. Folks with Apple TV Plus have seen the price drop from $79 to $59. If you're wondering whether it's worth it, you can find out this weekend. As a special promotion, says 9to5Mac, all 14 matches on the schedule this weekend will be offered for free. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by ExpressVPN. Use the internet the way you want to. Subscribe and get an extra 3 months free at expressvpn.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.